mechanically enhancing them. So as if skeletons and zombies are not enough already, he's putting robot parts on them, makes them even more strong and powerful. We're sick and tired of having to fight these guys, so we thought, let's take on the root of the problem and find Robert. So we went to a bar close by, and they saw a local girl called Sarah walk out with a man that fits the description of Robert. So we're going to pay Sarah a visit. The door is open, so we can just walk in. And she is at home. That's her there in the doorway. But she's been taken hostage by this suicide bomber, and he really resembles the undead characters that we've been taking on, assisting the orcs. So we think Robert has been here. Now he says that we have to back off because otherwise he'll commit suicide, and he's a suicide bomber, so that'll take Sarah out as well. Then we have to find another way of finding Robert, because Sarah will be dead. So if I actually in this dialogue choose go right ahead, he will blow up. So I don't want that for his presentation. So I'm going to try and make him calm down. If this is the first time you've seen a dialogue in Original Sin, I have to tell you that if your party members are close enough when you start a dialogue, they will participate in the dialogue. So it's a bit like in a tabletop RPG, when the dungeon master says something, you don't, there's not one leader, you always talk to each other like, guys, what are we going to do? So that is why we're involving all the party members in the dialogue. So now Benoit can make his decision of how we're going to approach this.
So I can either take care of the situation and fix it, or I can call the bluff, and if I do so, it will explode. And since we really want to save Sarah, I will try to fix the situation like David.
Okay, so if he had chosen the other option, we would disagree about this and we would be in conflict, and what we do then, just like you would in an RPG, is roll dice to see who wins this conflict. We are then using bonuses from the primary stats. For instance, if he's intimidating me, you get a bonus from strength. If he's trying to charm me, bonus from charisma, etc. And you will actually see that in the dialogue options. But now we agree, and we're going to try and find a solution to this problem. So we're not going to move too close, because then it'll explode. But we're going to use source magic, and Benoit is using his ice dragon to freeze the skeleton guy, so that he cannot move anymore. So now he's frozen. She's glazed over. Sarah can safely walk outside while we take care of the bomber. Benoit shot him with an arrow so that we wouldn't take too much damage from the explosion. And Sarah comes back in, and she's very happy that we saved her life. She starts telling us about Robert, and she says, like, sure, I spent the night with him. And in the morning, he turned out not to be a human, but a Wallach that can change his appearance. And a Wallach looks a bit like that. So she's rightfully dismayed about having slept with a monster like that. And she heard Robert tell the little bomber guy that he's going back to his lair in the south. So now Sarah's pretty happy with us. And her attitude towards us is very positive because we saved her life. Now I can change that by messing around with all the stuff in her house. Like I said, it's a Divinity game, so if I press shift I see everything that I can actually pick up. There's more than just picking up, I can also move stuff around. But if I start doing that and Sarah sees me doing it, she's going to say, I'm not standing close enough, she's going to say stop messing with my stuff. And then her attitude towards us goes down. So I'm going to apologize here, I don't want any more trouble. But now she really doesn't trust me anymore, and she actually starts following me around, making sure I don't mess with anything anymore. So if I try to open her chest, she's going to complain. I'm going to apologize again. But in the meanwhile, she has her back turned on Benoit, who's in the other room, and he can just do whatever he wants. He can pick up the broom, for instance, and it wouldn't be a Divinity game if he couldn't actually equip the broom as a weapon and smack people around with it. If I, on the other hand, try to steal stuff from her, for instance, the apple here on the table, she's going to say, like, put that back, that's mine. So I either have to give it back, but I need the apple for the presentation, so I'm going to fight her for it. And then combat starts, and I'm quickly gonna take care of Sarah. She's not really much of a warrior, I just took her down in one hit. But at least now I can do whatever I want inside the house without her nagging about it. I'm gonna move that stuff, pick up the dagger here, looks like a nice dagger, pick up the potion. Now I can show what you can do with these items. For instance, the mushrooms that I picked up at the start of the game, if something looks edible, you can try and eat it. It might boost the stat for a while, or it heals you. So I'm gonna eat a mushroom. Not a good idea, obviously, because it poisons me. I don't know if you know your mushrooms, but these red ones with the white freckles on top, don't eat them, they're poisonous. But I can combine this with my sword, and then I've created my own poisonous sword. So that'll do some poison damage in combat. Another example of being able to combine items, if I'm poisoned, a healing potion won't do a lot, but if I combine the healing potion with the apple, apples are really good for you, I create a detox potion. So if by accident I poison myself again, I can use the detox potion to fix that.
Excuse me.
There's literally dozens of different item combinations possible, and they're documented in the game. For instance, there's a recipe in the game that tells you what you need to do if you want to bake your own bread. What items do you need to combine and then put it in an oven, and you can actually eat it, and that'll give you a temporary strength boost. We're moving on to Robert, but apparently the girl wants to talk to me. And in the game, you will be able to talk to your party members once in a while, and those are context sensitive. So we just met Robert, who's sleeping around. Sarah's promiscuity is also a bit questionable. So we're now talking about that topic, and Benoit says sleeping around, well, she's just enjoying herself. And I'm more of a conservative guy on that topic, and I'm going to say, well, yeah, it puts her on par with a common strumpet in the street, and I think it's revolting. And Benoit then says that I'm a girl for having such an opinion. Our writer does have issues. Anyway, these things, these discussions that we can have with each other, plus the way that we react to NPCs, define our relationship. So the relationship that we have as the main party members, and that has an impact on the story and certainly on the end game of Original Sin. So now we're going to go to the dungeon and try to find this Robert guy. Benoit's changing his broom with a bow again because we're sure to come up on combat here. And we're being attacked by two skeletons up Robert. And maybe you've already noticed combat in Original Sin is turn-based. So this is the order in which we will take turns. At the bottom you see that at the moment we have 6 action points, so moving around and hitting people and using skills is going to take a certain amount of action points. Combat in Original Sin is mostly hand-placed to challenge the player to find a cool solution to a certain combat moment. So if we just barge in here and go hacking and slashing away, we will probably die trying. So I'm looking around and I see oil barrels here, and they're potentially bombs. So I'm throwing the oil barrel in between these two guys. With my last action points, I'm gonna move out of the way because Benoit is going to use a fire arrow on that oil barrel, which will make it explode, hopefully taking 2 characters with it. So in only 1 round, we already took care of 2 characters that normally would have taken a couple of rounds to get down. So the other skeleton is coming towards me. I'm gonna walk up to the other oil barrel and smash it. Because if I just smash it with not using fire, it leaves a surface of oil, and if I use fire on that oil, the oil will turn into a surface of lava. So if I can then lure enemies onto that surface, they will catch fire. It's of course also more interesting if they're already standing in oil, because to them it's not really much of a hazard. So I'm going to walk over here and hope that the enemy is going to walk into the oil. Okay, the guy is already on fire, and I have a spell called Heat Wave, which will further intensify the fire damage that he takes. So he's already taking damage over time, and by casting Heat Wave on him, he will take even more damage. but the damage I'm doing with Heat Wave is also doubled because he's already on fire. Oops, I walked into the lava by accident again. But also, now that I'm on fire, Benoit can put out that fire by making it rain. So the enemies are using similar magic, and these things work logically, as if just like in real life. So if you think that something is logical, it will happen in real world. For instance, now we're wet, so that means that we're more vulnerable to, for instance, electricity attacks. And also the lava surface that was created there, you can counter it with the rain spell. Benoit ran into another battle, and in this battle we want to show you that you can unlock certain dialogue options if you have high enough stats. So here our charisma is high enough to talk these guys into blowing themselves up, and we're saying like, fulfill your destiny without taking us with you. Why ruin the moment by including strangers? And our charisma is so high that they actually believe us, and they're going to commit suicide. He had his moments of doubt, but there's like this area effect of damage, and he was blown up anyway. So sometimes you will be able to talk your way out of combat, and you will have dialogue options unlocking depending on certain things like stats. We can see a big battle coming up here, so we can think ahead, and Benoit is going to come in from the left to take care of that big guy over there, and I'm more of a tank kind of guy, so I'm going up front. So speaking of tanks, the RPG system is classless, so you don't have to choose if you want to be a wizard or a warrior. You can just create whatever you want. That's also something that we're stealing from Divinity and Divinity 2. So we're gonna start this bigger combat moment here. And again, you'll notice that if we're smart about this, we will take less damage, and it'll take less retries to actually have to actually be victorious in this battle. So we're clearly outnumbered, but with just 3 action points, if I toss a fireball at that oil barrel there, it's going to create a chain reaction, because those guys will all ignite each other, and the oil barrels will also ignite one another. So boom, like 5 enemies with 3 action points. That's okay. So the next biggest threat that I can identify as a big robot is like level 5, and I think we're level 1 or 2. So I'm going to make sure that he cannot use his attack, because we've noticed that he needs 1 round to charge up, and then the next round will use his attack. So I'm going to try and electrify him. I'm out of range to actually hit him with my electricity bolt, but I'm not out of range to fire at the water surface. He's not standing in the water surface, but Benoit can extend it by making it rain again. And now he's inside the electrified water surface. Benoit is also trying to balance it out here by summoning an ice element. He has to control the ice elemental because he's the one that summoned it. In the meanwhile, this Robert guy here is healing his friends, so my next priority is to take care of that guy, because otherwise he's gonna keep on healing them. So I have to move in closer, but I've spent all my action points. Benoit wants to make sure that the robot cannot act, and he freezes him. Also freezing the water surface that he was standing on, creating an ice surface. If enemies walk on ice, they have a chance of falling down, which is not only funny, but it also keeps them from being able to attack in a round. So the Robert is moving away slowly. But I'm going to keep on hitting him with everything I've got, but I wasn't close enough. So as you can see, if you use a bit of strategy here, this battle isn't as difficult as it seems. So we're prioritizing, and we're thinking about who can we attack how. Obviously we're going to use this fire, earth, air, water thing in the vulnerabilities of the enemies and of the characters. For instance, the ice elemental that Benoit is using, it doesn't take any damage from ice. spells, because he just basically says thank you instead of that hurt. But on the other hand, he's highly vulnerable to fire attacks because that'll melt him immediately. I'm gonna fast forward and tell you that we will be victorious because we outsmart everyone here, and show you a video of the editor that we are going to ship along with the game. So this is the editor that our designers are using to create the levels and to create the story. So the players will be able to create their own adventures, so they can make their own levels with the assets that we're making. They can build houses, put characters in there, give dialogues to those characters, write them yourself, you can branch them out, and then you can put all the logic in there using a scripting language that we developed over 10 years ago, and we have been using for 15 years successfully to tell all our RPGs with. And the cool part about the scripting language is it's not C++ or anything. You don't have to learn programming. The function calls are as simple as if item is moved, if character dies, if player walks into trigger. So it's understandable by any human. I mean, our designers have to be able to understand it. And so we're hoping that a lot of players will make adventures and share them with the community. And that was a 40+ hour RPG in 15 minutes. Do you have any questions?
What do you want?
Excuse me?
When are you coming out?
We're going for Q2 in 2013.
What's the pricing of this game?
Excuse me?
What's the pricing of the game?
That depends on the price that games will go next year. I mean, if we would have to release today, it would probably be like $39.99 or $39.95, but we don't know how that will be a year from now.
All right, that's understandable.
PC and Mac?
Right now, PC and Mac, really focusing on that. And if we have budget and the demand for console, we will port it to console. Right now, we're really focusing on those platforms.
What are the hardware specs, hardware requirements?
We're going for pretty low specs. So we've made children's games before while we were making Divinity. And for instance, kids, they have to use like their parents' old stuff.
Yeah.
And so we have experience in building good-looking games for low specs. So we're going to try and use that experience to our advantage again.
Yeah, it's for me.
Right.
So I can't tell you yet, but it should be playable on computers that are 5-6 years old or maybe older. We'll have to check that.
Thank you so much for your time. I gotta head out.
My pleasure.
Game looks great.
Thanks.